Good morning. Uh, my name is Yikaun. I teach I teach creativity and entrepreneurship in International Business Department. Chenwei teaches leadership and influence skills in management. Today, we are very excited to share with you a pilot study of a mini grant proposal. Our goal of this proposal aligns with what Jennifer mentioned earlier this morning, that we want to teach students to use AI to empower and assist their learning, but not to replace their learning. To overcome the risk of over relying on AI to substitute student learning, we implement an experiential learning approach in our classes. In both of our classes, students are required to actively engage and take on various roles to complete either an assignment or a term project. So this is a year-long project. In phase one, within Chenwei's leadership class, students use AI to practice giving feedback for leadership communication. In the following semester, our phase two, in my class, students will use AI to enhance their role play entrepreneur skills. They take on three distinct roles: the leader, the entrepreneur, and the venture capitalist in a simulated Shark Tank competition event. And we are going to present our work at the International Management and Organization Behavior Teaching Society Conference at Singapore this June. And now I would like to hand it over to Chenwei. She will explain in detail of our pilot study.
Thank you so much, Yikaun. Everybody can hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm Associate Professor of Management from Lam Family College of Business. I want to mention this mini project, Yikaun and I, we collaborate together, was supported by Lam Larson, the Emerging Technology Initiative, and we really appreciate their support. So this semester, we kind of, explored how we can use generative AI to enhance the way we teach and refine leadership skills. I'm teaching leadership and HRs to both undergraduate and graduate students. Management 648, it's up-level division classes for senior management students. The purpose of this class is to kind of help develop crucial leadership and influence skills. The course is based on the idea that everyone has, some leadership potentials. It looks at leadership from both leaders and followers' perspectives and viewpoints, giving students a well-rounded understanding of the challenges and opportunities involved in the leading process. So when I'm teaching this leadership class, we kind of used a lot of practical experiential activities throughout the semester that help, develop their leadership skills and styles. One of the main leadership skills we kind of focused on throughout the semester is the feedback giving and the receiving, because we kind of feel like feedback is crucial, in leadership. It's not just about correcting and directing behaviors. It's more about building communications and foster, trust and growth in the leading process. So we also know leaders, majority of the responsibility for leaders is give and receive feedback as a routine part of their daily activities. So in the leadership research, we kind of categorize feedback into three different types here: appreciation, coaching, and evaluation. Each type serve as a purpose from motivating employees and engaging their work, and also expanding their skills or aligning their performance, with the organization standards. And appreciation type, we are all very familiar with this type. It's the purpose of appreciation is to motivate, encourage, and acknowledge. And this type of feedback, kind of help employees feel valued or reassured that their work and their efforts matters. But but we do have some challenges as a leader, by giving this type of feedback in the workplace, especially, like you need to make sure to make it effective, you need to make sure, this type of feedback need to be very specific, authentic, and also tailored to the value and needs of the receivers. We, as managers and leaders, sometimes kind of, forget, how important this type of feedback is. And the second type of, feedback we usually talk a lot about in class is a coaching type. The coaching type, actually, this type is the majority type of feedback, every leaders need to give in their daily routines. The purpose of this type is to make sure, employees kind of engage, in their work and enable improvement through growth, learning, and change. So this type of feedback can help employees kind of improve performance or increase knowledge, or sharpen their skills, abilities, and but the challenges for this type of feedback is like it takes time for leaders to kind of to kind of like to think about like, okay, how am I gonna give this type of feedback? It takes time, it takes skills, it also takes very thoughtful plannings. It requires leader to have a deeper understanding, efforts, commitment on what kind of contributions, employees has added to the team. And also it's fairly easy for leaders to kind of fall into the trap of believing like this type of coaching feedback, because it will sometimes sounds very like another type of feedback we're going to talk about here, evaluation. And if leaders coaching type of feedback is too generic or not actionable enough, and employees might feel disencouraged. And also sometimes, if you feel kind of focus too much on the negative aspect of coaching and, neglect the positive side, it also will make employees less likely to perceive. And of course, there's another type of feedback, evaluation. And this type of feedback, the purpose of this type of feedback is to determine like where you stand. So evaluation type of feedback helps align expectations, clarify consequences, and inform like decision making. So like grades, usually, performance assessment and rankings, acceptance letters or rejection letters, those type of feedback are all belonging to evaluation type of feedback. And for this type of feedback to be effective, it also has challenge, because essentially it's a comparison, and you compare one employee's performance against another employee's or a particular set of standards. So so in the workplace, we know like we all need 3 different types of feedback, but sometimes, leaders tend to kind of mix different types of feedback together in the workplace. And those kind of mix will make employees sometimes less likely to receive your feedback. Why? Because sometimes in some situations, some employees are looking for appreciation type of feedback. They don't want your guidance at this moment. They just want you to say thank you, but you tend to put on a coaching hat. They were like, what's going on here, right? Like, and sometimes employees are looking for evaluation types of feedback, asking like leaders, managers to give them like where they are, like, how good, like their work is. But leaders, tend not to give this type of feedback. So employees can feel super kind of confused. So with that being said, like teaching students effective leadership, especially feedback giving and receiving skills is quite challenging too, because, we know like class time, we have very limited time in class, like how are we gonna give, students, time to practice, to improve, to engage in those kind of feedback conversation. I constantly, tell students like, my class is not like a magic, and you will not suddenly become an excellent leader after this class. It all depends, like how much time you put into practicing all the skills we covered in class. And especially for feedback giving, students may feel uncomfortable, intimidated by the prospect of providing feedback. Even, I give them role-playing exercises. A lot of students kind of fear the confrontation. They kind of feel like, oh, I don't want to hurt, my partner's feelings. I don't want to sound too like aggressive in this conversation. And they may also, struggle to provide feedback in a like tactful way, especially, when addressing very, very sensitive type of, issues, and they are afraid, like, their partners will become very, very defensive, right? Like, and also a lot of students, especially for undergraduate student classes, a lot of them, they might not have a lot of experiences in giving feedback as a manager. So they don't know what to say. Like they don't know how to frame the issues, what kind of, like words are appropriate for them to use to address this particular issues. And also students kind of constantly mention like they need multiple opportunities to practice it. But sometimes, our in-class experiential exercise may not give them enough time. And they with that being said, like Yikaun and I, we kind of sit down together like, oh, maybe, ChatGPT can play a role here. And especially, like in the prompt engineering world, ChatGPT has a persona prompts. You can ask a ChatGPT to act, as a coach, act as a manager or employees or basically anybody, to kind of engage conversation with you. So that's with that being
Chenwei,
said, yeah.
Chenwei, we have probably only like 2-3 minutes left.
Oh, sorry about that. I think I gave too much background information here. Uh, so, so the project we give to students is the Excalibur project case, and in this case we have like managers and employees here, and Sebastian is the manager, Diane is the employee, and in this case. I want to do a quick summary here since we don't have a lot of time. So for this case, Sebastian is a very ambitious like managers on a fast track, managerial positions, and then Diane is also a very hardworking employees. But in this situation, it's like Diane is looking for promotion, and it's like a rapid promotion because she thinks she did a really good job in the Excalibur project. But according to Sebastian, he has some different thoughts and perceptions. He kind of feel like, yes, Diane did contribute to the project, however, and she is lacking like in leadership skills, especially a little bit like a micromanaging when she was leading the team. So with this as a background, like I ask students to do the role play, like one group of students, one students will play like, the Diane, and another will play the Sebastian. And we have many different teams, in the class to do the feedback conversation. And why they prepare for this, feedback conversations, I ask students like what kind of challenges they would anticipate, when they engage in those conversations. And here are some of their raw data. They cannot really feel like, oh my goodness, seems like, like Sebastian can sometimes be really direct and harsh regarding, his negative feedback, because Diane kind of thinks Sebastian is focused too much on negative side of her performance. And some students who play Sebastian, they kind of anticipate, wow, Diane will not take the feedback well. She's going to become super, defensive because Diane is a hard worker, but in this feedback conversation, Sebastian tends to play, play like a coach, like trying to, like coach Diane to improve certain performance for her. So those are all the challenges they expect. And but anyway, I ask all of them to write down the feedback conversation when they are engaging, with their partners. And here are some of their original write-up. And after reading all, like students' assignments, I was like, wait a minute. It seems like, both sides tend to forget about what kind of goals, what kind of perspectives, they originally have about others. For example, some students, who play Sebastian, they kind of like forget about it, like, they have concerns about Diane's leadership skills. They just give whatever Diane asked. And, Diane asked for a promotion and they were like, okay, I will give you that. And, but some students who play Diane, they also kind of not sure what to do. And they are not like assertive enough to stand on the ground, telling Sebastian like, okay, I did contribute a lot and it's not fair, for you to, say all those kind of coaching related feedback to me. So students kind of tend to like, oh, like they basically, a majority of the feedback conversations I read, they didn't achieve their original goals. They tend to, like kind of confused or not sure what to say next. So with that being said, we in class, I kind of train students, like how to engage with, like the ChatGPT first. And I give them, like those examples of prompts, like how they can, interact with ChatGPT to help them prepare with all those different responses Diane might have. So here I want to share with you a quick process how, like I showed in the class. So we ask students to use any, chat box they may have. It does not necessarily need to be ChatGPT. So we kind of, ask students to kind of ask ChatGPT to act as a manager if they are employee, if they are playing Diane's role. They can also ask, ChatGPT to play like Sebastian's role if they are Diane, and ask ChatGPT to play Sebastian's like Diane's role if they are Sebastian. So ChatGPT actually, provide them like kind of very, very interesting type of feedback conversation or dialogues here. And they, like first I ask them to kind of upload the case there to summarize the case. And then also, like based on, this case and what kind of, how could you simulate a conversation where, I meant well, but Diane gets really defensive and frustrated during the feedback conversation. Can you simulate a dialogue showing me, what I should say if Diane gets defensive and not, like not open to feedback? And then, ChatGPT would give them all those kind of feedback. And what about like, what if, like Diane insists like she needs to get that promotion, but I think she's not ready. And also, like students can ask ChatGPT to kind of do the role play. Like, what if Diane threatens to quit the job? If Sebastian, didn't give her the promotion she asked for. So all kinds of different, like scenarios they can think of. And finally, of course, I also encourage students to ask ChatGPT, like simulate a conversation dialogue between Sebastian and Diane that goes well and solve each party's concern, right? Like what are some like things you can say to make sure, solve each party's concern here. And students
Yeah,
were having fun. Yeah.
sorry to cut you off, but you have 30 seconds to finish up.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, final slides here. And we also collected some, student comments here. Yeah. And after, playing, with ChatGPT, so I asked them to write up the feedback conversation again and see, whether or not they have better ideas, are more prepared to engage in those kind of feedback conversation. Here are some student comments. Yeah, they mentioned like ChatGPT did give them, some other perspectives and kind of help them, become more prepared for this kind of exercise. And I actually have one student, he shared like, oh my goodness, like he's like, I have a very, very similar conversations I need to, do like next week in my workplace. And that's great. And he's like, I'm gonna, ask a ChatGPT to role play this with me before he deliver the feedback to his team members. Thank you so much.